In 1897, a group of Tarrant County residents formed the Mount Olive Baptist Church on the old Saul Davis tract on Indiana Street, under the leadership of its first pastor, Reverend Squires, who pastored the church from 1897 to 1912. The church was built in a 5-block area of Arlington known as The Hill. It has served as the residential area for African Americans since the early 1900s through the post-segregation era. In 1937, the church called Reverend D.B. Brown to be the pastor. Sister Bertha Jones, who joined under Pastor Brown, recalls what the church was like during Pastor Brown's tenure and how the church has impacted her life.
My name is Bertha Jones. I joined under Reverend D.B. Brown at the age of 8, 1945. Now I'm telling my age. The church was in the middle of the street, which we said it was an alley because we was always up and down the alley. The church was high, so we could go up under it and play or hide when we didn't want to be in church. My great-grandmother, Pearl Harris, we went to church looking like every time the doors was open, but that was the fun that we had. She also lived in the area where the church is today. I remember being small and it was a pond that we could stand there and watch them being baptized. But it was a blessing because we had something to do with all our friends, because that was the only plaything that we had to do back then. So I just thank God that I am part of this church. I thank God every day, just wanting to see it grow and grow, and hope and pray that I'm around a little longer, that I can see some of the young people doing things that I used to do when I was their age. And I'm looking forward for the homecoming.
Pastor D.B. Brown passed away in 1956. The church then called Reverend N.A. Bacon to be the pastor. In 1958, the church elected Reverend O.V. Hall as pastor. Reverend O.V. Hall served as pastor from 1958 to 1966. Under his leadership, the Mount Olive Baptist Church was rebuilt at 415 North West Street. On October 9th, 1966, Reverend Norman L. Robinson was called to the Mount Olive Baptist Church. Pastor Robinson proved to be a visionary leader ahead of his time. He was known for being a great pastor, but he was also an outstanding preacher.
He had a lunatic, clothed in his right mind, standing up at the door, knocking. When he left home, he was naked. When he left home, he was crazy. Here he is standing at the door, knocking. Children run and peep through the door and say, "Mama, it's Daddy." She says, "Is he naked?" He said, "No, he got on clothes." Is a crowd with him trying to constrain him? No, he's all alone. "Mama, something done happened to Dad. He don't look like he did when he left here. If Jesus have come into your life, it ought to be some changes made. Mama, it's been a long time since we seen Daddy, but you ought to let him come in, Mama. I believe he's all right." She said, "No, the last time I was here, we had to bolt the doors. We had to lock down the windows," but they said, "Mama, look at Daddy. He's looking all right. He's pleading with you." So they open the door, and he walks in and hugs his children and hugs his wife. He said, "Baby, let me tell you what the Lord has done for me. Hey, honey, let me tell you what the Lord have done for me. I gave him my demons. He gave me his Holy Spirit. I gave him my insanity. He gave me back sanity. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Hey, baby. I know my name. I know who I am. I'm a saint. I'm a sheep. Sometimes he calls me little children. I know my name.
Under his administration and leadership, the church grew by leaps and bounds and was rebuilt at 402 Northwest Street. And the members began worshiping in the new sanctuary in June 1978. Imogene Waters was a young lady when Pastor Robinson came to Mount Olive. Listen as she describes how the church has impacted her life.
Well, I became a member of Mount Olive in February of 1967. I was introduced to Mount Olive by Pastor Robinson's oldest daughter, Sister Norma Richardson, which was a good friend of mine. We had attended school together from the 4th grade all the way through high school. And once we got out of high school, we married. We got married. We then lived in the same apartment complex. And that was when her father was chosen to be the minister here at Mount Olive. And during that time, she told me, she said, you need to really come and hear my dad preach, because he can really preach. And so I took her up on that, and so I came and I heard Pastor Robinson preach. I don't know how many times before that I gave my life to Christ. It wasn't too many, maybe 3. And then I remember distinctly that he was preaching, and the thing that he got me on was, he said, how can you raise your children to know Jesus Christ if you don't know him yourself? And so immediately at the invitation, I gave my life to Christ. During that time, I had 4 children. And so I wanted them to become Christians and know God for themselves. And I can say right now, I thank God they are here. They have given their life to Christ. They are working in this church. And I am so proud of them. So God has just showed me all the way down the line about family is so important. It's not easy, but it's important to have family, because you have husband, you have wife, you got 2 different personalities, and you've got to work through that, and you can't be selfish. And during all that time, you have got to trust God and what he says. He said, I never put no more on you than you can bear. I've questioned that, but I believed it. But it did get questioned. Like, Lord, are you sure you want me to do this like this? But I can just say, I give glory, honor, and praise to my God, because he is everything that he said he is. His word never changed. He never fails. He takes care of you. And I am a witness of him taking care of me, my husband, and my family. And I would just like to say, we have been so blessed to be part of the Mount Olive Baptist Church.
The new facility was a welcome relief from overcrowding, but it was not enough. An extension was added to accommodate the crowd, but the people kept coming. The church began building its new edifice down the street on the corner of Northwest Street and Sanford. The groundbreaking service for the present facility was held on November 1st, 1987. The first service was held March 19th, 1989 at 301 West Sanford Street. Under the leadership of Pastor Robinson, the church continued to experience unprecedented growth. During this period of growth, Elzie Odom served as a deacon and treasurer under Pastor Robinson. In 1997, he became the first African-American mayor in the city's history. Listen as Deacon Odom recalls how he came to be a member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church.
My name is Elzie Odom, and I came to Arlington in 1979. early in '79, but I didn't join Mount Olive until about October of 1979. Reason being, I was traveling a lot. A lot of weekends I wasn't here, and my dad was seriously ill that year, and I spent a lot of weekends with him down in East Texas. Nonetheless, when we inquired with somebody about a church in Arlington, I might have said it something like, I haven't been able to find a black church in Arlington. I said, oh yeah, there is one. I said, where? They told me where. And so the next Sunday we made our way down, and we couldn't get any closer than a window. And we stood outside and we listened to the service. That was in the building up the street. And that building had just been enlarged. So we joined, I think the second time we visited, and that would have been in October or November of 1979. The church was growing as fast as Arlington was growing. And every time the topic of discussion was always enlarging the building, because that building had taken about all the enlarging it could, and it began to move on. Well, we started it in '87, and it was '89 when we finished it. And of course, during that period, during the latter half, I chose to run for city council in '89, and I was defeated. But I ran again the next year, and I was elected. Just as the same year that we went into this building, I went on the city council, and I served on the city council from '89 through '97. And '97 I was elected mayor and served until '03. And in the meantime, Mount Olive continued to grow.
Israel Cunningham served as the chairman of the deacon board under Pastor Robinson. Listen as Deacon Cunningham shares his service to the pastor during the church's unprecedented growth.
Israel Cunningham became a member of the Mount Olive Baptist Church family in first Sunday in November 1972. ABC, American Baptist Convention, I had some connections with them as secretary of the Metropolitan Baptist Church Deacon Board, and that was in '74 when I started working with his package, compensation, and getting him a part of the ABC M&M program, which is Minister and Missionaries retirement program, ABC. And that's how I began working with him and his financial package and so forth. That's how we became close to, in a relationship, working on his compensation, basically, and also trying to keep the church, thinking of expansion of the church too, at the same time, because he wanted to expand. Well, we had to, because everybody was standing outside worshiping in the little church. So he said, we have to find some place to build, to expand, to accommodate the growth of the membership.
The church moved into its fourth building, and God continued to add to the church as he saw fit. Deacon Israel Cunningham passed away in 2021, leaving a legacy of stable leadership as chairman of the Mount Olive Baptist Church Deacon Board. In 2014, Deacon Ray Jarrett became the chairman of the deacon board at the Mount Olive Baptist Church. Let's listen as he describes how he came to be at Mount Olive and what it means to him to be the chairman of the Mount Olive Baptist Church Deacon Board.
My wife and I, Hazel, came to this church in 1985. I'm sorry, September the 16th. My wife had visited this church before through a family friend of ours, and she was so excited about what she saw here, and wanted me to visit here with him. So we came in September 1985. I found and I felt that the word was being taught here, truly. It's another small thing that it started on time and ended on time. It was a great choir. The pastor was stuck with the word, and it was there was a lot of men my age during that same time, to a lot of families, and it was really exciting. So it was what we wanted to be. I became the chairman in 2014. Yeah, Brother Cunningham had decided to step down. He had mentioned it before, and I talked him into not to do it, and I just said, well, you just let me know what you want to do, and I'll do it. But in 2014, he said, Brother Jarrett, I'm just going to give it up. So, and I took it over then. It's that is humbling. It was very humbling, man, because I got a chance to meet Brother Cunningham, and just to see his demeanor, his demeanor, my demeanor was a lot different, but in some cases a lot alike. But he was a spirit-filled man. He loved his church, loved Pastor Robinson. Do anything, that for him, and I picked up on a lot of that. I couldn't have had a better mentor than him. He's a great man. Well, mine coming to be that I think I'm probably one of the most blessed people it is to be the chairman of the deacon board of the Mount Olive Baptist Church. It's a very humbling position. I'm very humble to be the chairman of this board. And as I always say, and when I have an audience here, that I think that the deacon board and this church is probably the best church and deacon board on this side of the rapture.
Always the forward thinker, Pastor Robinson wanted the church to be prepared to carry on in the future. In February 1994, Reverend James P. Thompson Jr. was elected pastor of the Mount Olive Baptist Church. A dedicated servant leader, Pastor Thompson served as pastor for more than 30 years under Senior Pastor Robinson's ministry. In 1997, the church received its historical marker commemorating 100 years of service to the community. However, in April 2017, Senior Pastor Robinson went home to be with the Lord after 50 years of faithful service. Leaving a worthy successor in his stead, today, Reverend James P. Thompson Jr. serves as the pastor of the Mount Olive Baptist Church in Arlington, Texas.
My name is James Thompson. I've joined this church, I joined it, I think, in February of 1984, and I preached my first sermon, I think, in April of 1984. And I was youth minister in 86, and then recommended for pastor in 1994, and I've been in that position ever since. So, I've seen the church come a long way, but believe it or not, there are people that were here long before I got here. And even though 84 sounds like a long time, I think we have people who range as far as 1975 and even beyond that. So the church has got a reputation of longevity and stability, and I think that is probably one of its greatest assets. I've tried to make sure that we still have a viable teaching ministry. I try to make sure that we still let the membership know we care. We still have great praises from our choir. And these preachers we have great preachers who preach the Word of God, and people know that the Word of God is going to be taught and preached here. So I think we've come a long way. Where I think we're going, I think our quest is to make sure that we're relevant for this generation. I don't think the message has changed, but presented in a way in which this generation finds it relevant. And we've got to do that because we have to be all things to all people that we might win them.
In the past 2 weeks, the number of cases of COVID-19 outside China has increased 13-fold, and the number of affected countries has tripled. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
COVID-19 has battered the global economy, causing the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s.
It will be a new economy where many areas of the economy won't go back to the level of output that they had before.
In March 2020, the church closed the building and ceased all in-person activities due to the pandemic. In January 2023, the church reopened and resumed its regular activities. The pandemic had a profound effect on the church and changed the dynamics of pastoring. Listen as Pastor Thompson described the effect the pandemic had on the church and how the Lord led him to lead the church during this unprecedented time.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on the African American community, including our church. We recognize that our congregation faced unique challenges during this time, such as health disparities, economic hardships, and emotional strain. To address these issues, we implemented several strategies. We established virtual worship service and online platforms for engagement, ensuring that our members could stay connected and receive spiritual nourishment. We also collaborated with our local organizations to provide resources for health care, financial assistance, and mental health support. By prioritizing the holistic well-being of our congregation, we aim to navigate the challenges of the pandemic together. Lastly, this experience has emphasized the importance of proactive and intentional outreach. Moving forward, I plan to build upon these lessons by further strengthening our online presence, implementing long-term strategies for holistic support, and fostering a sense of resilience and hope with our congregation.